Hello and welcome. This is Becky with the Kartra education team, and I'm going to show you today how to create a sequence in Kartra. Sequences are one of those things that when somebody is first starting out with Kartra, it can be a little bit confusing, a little bit overwhelming. But once you get into it, you'll see that they're really quite simple to put together. It's just a matter of building out step by step the journey that you want to take your customer or your prospect on. So I'm going to show you how to do that really quick and simple, starting with an easy example. So I am here in my account. To get to the sequences, we're going to go to marketing and then sequences. And then in the top right corner here, just click plus sequence to start a new one. So we'll enter a name. This is, why don't we test out a cart abandonment process? If I can remember how to spell abandonment. Here we go. Okay, so the public description. So the difference between these two fields here are that you can name your sequence something that only you will see in your account, and that's this for your reference only, this first one. The public description is, you're going to see this here in a tooltip. Basically, when you subscribe someone to a sequence in your account, if they receive an email from it, they have the option to, just like any email that you get, a marketing email, in the footer there will be a link to manage subscriptions. They can click that link, and if they want to unsubscribe from the sequence, they can. And what they will see on that page, that subscription management page, is this public description. So you want to name this something that they will recognize, hopefully as something that they want to keep receiving content from. And in my case, I'm just going to do this. I would call it maybe product follow-up. Um, so if you had, you have a specific product, you can put a product name and something that would trigger. Basically, you want to remind them, oh yeah, this was something I was looking at. Hopefully that they're still interested in. So we're going to create the sequence there. And then that takes us straight into the builder. So what we've got here is a drag and drop canvas. Everything here in the sidebar, these are all steps that you can add to the sequence, and they basically, you can think about them as like actions that you want, or events that you want to happen in this automated flow. So when somebody is subscribed to the sequence, what is the first thing that you want them to experience? In many cases, that's going to be an email. You're going to send an email or send an SMS message if you're using text messages. But there's a lot of other options here too. You can add steps specifically that will add or remove a tag when the person reaches it, that will unsubscribe or unsubscribe them to a list, all of these kinds of things. You can also use like splits like this to say, for example, if somebody reaches this true false split and they have already purchased my product, or let's say, and they have a tag or something like that, you can send them down one branch of the split versus if they don't have those things or they haven't done those things, then you can send them down the other branch. So you can customize the way that your sequence runs based on a lot of different factors. For the purposes of this example, because we're keeping it simple, I'm going to add an email step. Because again, this is my cart abandonment flow, and what I really want to do is follow up with people to say, hey, you should really buy my product. So this very first email, this is going to be a 48-hour reminder just to reach out. And I can choose from either I'm going to go with a plain text email or I can choose a template. So I can go through here and look at different template designs that I might want to use. We'll just go with any one for now because we're just doing something simple here. So select this one and create. You can always change the template later too and change the design. So you've got now immediately in the canvas, you have a step, and the step is inactive. It is disconnected from this beginning portion here as well. So the starting rule is something that we're going to come back to this actually. The starting rule is what adds the person to the sequence. So it's actually how the person gets subscribed here. So we're going to, although it's the starting rule and it's theoretically the beginning, we're going to look at that last. because it's going to be the final step that kind of activates our flow. So the first thing that I want to do is actually finish setting up this email. So if I hover over this menu option here, I go to edit, and then I can see a lot of these steps are already kind of pre-configured for me. But I want to go through and make sure that it reflects what I actually want, the settings that I want to create. So first things first, let's look at the delay. This is where I'm going to say, when does the person receive this email? And I do want it to be right after the previous step. And in this case, the previous step is that they were subscribed to the sequence. So they're going to get this right away. Actually, let's back that up. I said that this is going to be a 24-hour reminder. So what I want to do then is change this to wait for a certain amount of time. So I'm going to wait for 1 day. 1 day in the sequence settings is a 24-hour period, so you can translate that way. And next we're going to say date and time. So what this does is if you can choose windows of time that you want emails to go out. So it kind of explains it here that you can control the execution of the step. So for example, if there are certain days that you do not want emails to reach people, then you can turn those days off. Like if you didn't want to send on weekends, or let's say you only wanted to send on weekends, you could specify that. You can also specify a window, a time of day if you wanted to do like only in the morning. We're only going to send it in the morning. So you can do those kinds of things. For me, because this is a cart abandonment and I don't care too much about when the person gets it, I'm just going to stick with my 24-hour period. But when you are configuring an email like this, you want to think about these things kind of happening in succession a little bit. These conditions. Okay, so if somebody reaches this email, the sequence is going to wait for a full 24 hours for 1 day. And then after that 1 day, then it will check these date and time windows to see when it's okay to send the email. So it'll wait for 24 hours, and then it will wait for the next available window that you have set up here. So in my case, because I'm doing all 7 days, any time of the day, it's just going to send after 24 hours. So then I can look here. If I want to change the name of the broadcast, I can. This is just for my internal reference again. Under the gateway, this is where I say who this email is going to come from. So this is where when somebody receives this email in their inbox, what they see like as the sender name and the sender email, this is what they're going to see. I'm going to leave this here is fine, but you should, whatever your business email address is, fill these in, the from and the reply to. And I really strongly recommend that you use a real email addresses for these, especially the reply to, because that way, if somebody gets the message from you and then has a question or wants to reach out to you, they can reply and they can actually reach you. Then any kind of a reply to one of these messages will go to the inbox associated with the address that you put in here. You'll get one of these like placeholder addresses when you create your account. So you'll see one that says @Kartra as well. But there's no inbox associated with that address. It really is just a placeholder. So you should fill in your own address here. Okay, so next there is a condition. If I wanted to say that only certain people can receive this email, I could do that and use these conditions to filter my recipients. In my case, and really in many cases, you're going to say anybody reaching this step. Because typically, if they've been subscribed to the sequence anyway, you want them to receive the content that's in here. Then we have an automation option. If I wanted to add some additional automation conditions, like to do something if the person opens the email or clicks, then I could add some of those. We're going to leave that as it is. And then finally with the email content, this is where I want to edit my message. So coming in here, um, This is, remember, a cart abandonment. So we'll say we want to remind them, did they forget something? We're going to fill in my logo, all of my text. I would replace this image with maybe an image of my product or something to kind of like catch their interest and get them back to my sales page, update all of this, and then also make sure that when I come here that I can link back to my sales page or add any other kind of link like that that will take the person back. So, and you can change obviously the background color of this button and all that kind of different stuff. So you want to look through this whole email message in the template, make sure you've got it all updated with all of your own links and everything that you need to get the person back there. And then when we're done, we go save and exit on the email. And that is all of the settings of the email step. So you can see how we configured everything about this. Like, when is it going to be sent? It's fully automated, so we have to make sure we configure those conditions. When will it be sent? What will it be called? Who's it going to come from? Who's it going to go to, the recipients? And then what will the email say? So when that's done, then we want to activate the step. So click activate. And then, very important, we want to make sure we connect it to the rest of the sequence. So in this case, because it's the first email, we're going to connect it to the starting rule. You can see that this yellow bubble indicates that it is active and connected. So if I wanted to send an additional reminder email, maybe another day later or something like that, I could do that. Obviously, an easy way to get started with that, especially because I'm going to use a lot of the same conditions, is just to clone the step that I already created. So I'm going to clone that to make a second one. Go ahead and activate it. And these, we want to connect these as well. Use this arrange button to kind of clean things up. And then again, we would want to come in here and update. So the delay is waiting 1 day. And remember, we said that's going to be from the previous step. So in this case, it's a day after they got the first email, which is good. But for like real time, this is like the 48-hour reminder. So I'm going to rename it 48 hours for myself. The sender is all fine. The recipients are going to be the same. I would come in here and edit my message so that this is edited to be the second one. And then you've got basically this sequence set up, right? As soon as someone is subscribed, they get 1 day later, they get a 24-hour reminder. And then 1 day after that, they get a 48-hour reminder, so the second one. And that's probably all I'm going to do for a cart abandonment. I don't necessarily want to be bombarding somebody with emails. So from there, I'm going to add a complete step. Again, connect that into the sequence, activate it. You don't actually have to arrange them. It's just makes it look a little neater. So now we have this 3-step sequence. Basically, person's going to get 2 emails over the course of 2 days. And then as soon as they've gotten that second email, they're going to complete the sequence. So it'll be done. So now we know what they're going to get when they're in here. We know how they're going to finish it, but how do they start it? And that is what our starting rule is for. So when I have, for cart abandonment, in my product, I have it set up in the checkout settings that if people visit my product checkout and they don't buy my product, I'm going to apply a tag to them. So I'm tagging them as somebody who is interested, but they didn't make a purchase. And I'm going to use that tag as the starting rule for my sequence. So coming in here, I'm going to select tag as the starting rule. I have an abandoned category here set up. I'm going to we'll say for this is just a generic abandonment sequence. I'm not getting too specific. So I'm going to put any tag from this category and I'll add that. You can see that here's the rule. Contact is assigned any tag. And then we have a starting rule. And what that does is anytime that somebody gets that tag, whether it's from your product settings, or if you tagged them in some other way. You tagged them manually or you had another automation set up to add that tag, then they are going to be subscribed to this sequence and automatically start receiving the emails in this sequence. So that's everything. That is a basic introduction to how Kartra sequences work. It's really pretty simple, and as you can see, it is just all about creating this like step-by-step flow. What do you want the person to experience first? What do you want them to experience next? When do you want them to experience those things, and so on. You have to, because it's fully automated, you're not going to be like hands-on clicking, send this email now or anything like that. So you need to configure what is the timing, what are the recipient rules, all of that kind of thing. And then when you're finished, you just click done and exit, and you are done. Now you can see in the dashboard too, like I've got a couple of other, and this is all demo content, so it's not like my real sales or anything. But you can see that once you start subscribing people to the sequence, you're going to start seeing these kind of analytics on here, which will tell you at a glance what kind of activity your sequence is getting, what kind of revenue it's generating. But if you want to see more in-depth analytics, you can do that here as well. So you go into global, um, and again, this is this is not live data, so it's not very impressive. But this will show you in a chart and then also in this table as well. You'll be able to see some analytics. And then if you want to see in detail where people are in a certain sequence or like how many people have received certain emails, you can open these up and see that kind of data here. Um, and then this detailed view table as well. So that's everything. That is Kartra sequences. And I hope that was helpful. And I'll see you again next time.